Not so long back, I reviewed John Carpenter's sci-fi classic, The Thing, and you know, the other day I was in the mood for watching another one of his lesser spoken of horror greats, The Fog, and by that I mean the 1980s version, since this film was remade in 2005, is for me very underrated. When you talk about John Carpenter as a director, of course The Thing is always going to be one of the first films mentioned because it defined the horror genre in some ways. But for those looking into watching another one of the old school style horror movies, look no further than this film here. The Fog tells the story of Antonio Bay. It is almost its 100-year anniversary, and as the town begins to prepare to celebrate the momentous occasion, weird occurrences and strange happenings begin to happen all around the coastal area. And with people trying to piece together what on earth was going on around them, Father Malone realised that everything that was happening started exactly at the stroke of midnight. For him, whilst he was in his church, was revealed to be a book, and upon reading the said text, he soon realised that everything Antonio Bay was built on, its foundations were formed on deceit, theft, and murder. 100 years ago, a man named Blake, along with his comrades in his colony, sailed a vessel known as the Elizabeth Dane, intended on bringing his people over to the mainland. He sought only to help his people, but was betrayed by the 6 men who went on to found Antonio Bay into what it is today. The 6 conspirators sat down from 12 midnight to 1 AM and plotted the murder of Blake and his comrades. They sunk his ship by falsifying a light in treacherous waters and were coincidentally helped by a thick white fog. And once the task was done, the 6 stole Blake's fortune that had sunk to the bottom of the sea and used it to grow the town. An interesting, if albeit a simple premise, but that was why the town was going awry, and it was why inside the fog were the ghosts of the past, intent on seeking a bloody revenge. None of the original conspirators were alive to this day, so when the fog did descend upon the town, it did not care who was in its way, but it would not stop until it claimed the lives of 6 unfortunate souls. No one was the bad guy here. Father Malone came the closest to it, but only via his bloodline, because it was his grandfather who helped plot the original murders. He, though, played no part in it and was disgusted in his ancestors having found the travesty to the town's true origins. So that was the story. Character-wise, Adrienne Barbeau's Stevie Wayne took the starring role as a radio host staying up at the local lighthouse, and she spent almost her entire time in the film up there. She broadcasted her sightings of the fog, trying to warn the town's residents, and even had to try her hardest to fight off not 1, but 2 of Blake's crew. She almost got it too in the end when she was stabbed in the shoulder by one of those hooks, if only to be saved by Blake retrieving his gold and Father Malone attempting to sacrifice himself. Now, aside from Stevie and Malone, Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins's Nick and Elizabeth made up the rest of the spine of the cast. Elizabeth was a hitchhiker picked up by Nick as they were going through town, but they were both caught smack in the middle as the strange events began to occur. Nick was one of, if not the bravest man in the story. He rescued Andy, Stevie's son, after Blake's men had killed the nanny, but before he did any of that, he had good fortune on his side as he was saved by the stroke of the clock at 1 AM, just as he was about to get attacked. And the ending of the film saw Blake looking to claim his final victim. He was 5 out of 6, having taken the 3 on board the Seagrass, Dan the weatherman, the nanny, so all that remained was 1 more. Father Malone wished it to be him, to atone for his ancestors' sins. And as those remaining in town took refuge and shelter inside his church, you knew whatever they tried to do, they couldn't hold out for long. The good father took the stolen gold and went out to meet his maker. He stood face to face with Blake and told him to take him. Let the bloodshed end with him. And just as it looked like the 6th victim may not have been on the cards as the fog dissipated, the film's final moments made us think again as the fog returned to claim its final victim. My overall verdict for the 1980s version of The Fog is an 8 out of 10. To me, this is a classic. It was one of the first horror films I ever saw growing up as a kid, and it stuck with me. I always remembered how creepy Blake and his crew were as they were hidden just out of view, masked by the fog and the darkness as to not see their details, but not too far away as to never realise they weren't there, had you fixated on their every move. And when coupled with the fantastic sound design complementing that atmosphere, it gave the film and the fog a surreal, eerie tone. John Carpenter just has a way of creating these cinematic moments of suspense. The first time as the fog rolls in with the seagrass out at sea, then seeing what looks to be the silhouettes of Blake and his crew has you not wanting to blink in fear of missing a vital moment. When the fog is on screen, it has your attention, and it is the best part of the film. And the first appearance with their attack on the seagrass and the final moment at the church are the two highlights throughout. Now, sitting in at just under an hour and a half, it's not a long movie by any stretch. I myself prefer films to be around the 2-hour mark, but you don't really feel undersold here despite a shorter runtime. The story is solid, if not a tad slow to get going in the very beginning, and the characters are only explored as much as they needed to be. However, once Blake's ship arrives on screen and his crew savagely kill those on board the seagrass, the pace quickens along with your heart rate. The effective use of hiding those in the fog plays dividends as it heightens your fear. For those seeking an old school style horror installment, look no further than here. John Carpenter is a master of the genre, and while the fog may not be as defining as The Thing is, it is still a classic and worthy of a watch. So what did you guys think of The Fog? Do you see it as in the same bracket as John Carpenter's other work? And are there any of his other pieces you would like me to review next? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
This is your goal, Blake. My grandfather stole it from you. I'm the one who must answer for it.